to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to the extra time segment for Manchester United 3, Everton 1, Everton out of the FA Cup. It's going to be 28 years without silverware. The campaign's going to have to keep changing its name pretty regularly if it carries on like this. Thank God we've come up with a different name for the campaign because that one's going to have to keep changing its name every year if we carry on like this. Um, but obviously, Everton went to Old Trafford on Friday evening and lost out of the FA Cup. It was an improved performance on the debacle at Brighton, but it couldn't have gone any worse than that, could it? So, people are say it's sort of taking solace in the performance, but how did you see it, James?
Yeah, I mean, I say it couldn't have got any worse. And I think, to be fair, playing well and getting beat, or playing all right and getting beat, was probably the worst outcome possible, wasn't it? Really, because it means that he's staying. It's gonna be another week of thinking, well, if we get beat, he's gone. If we win, he stays, and all this nonsense. We always drag this process on way longer than it should do. We played all right, as you say. We're probably a bit unlucky on the night, but um, you can't go a goal down to 3 minutes and then expect to deserve something unless you massively turn it around. So yeah, I think playing all right and getting beat was probably the worst case scenario for us out the cup, as you say. It's gonna be another year on the tally, unfortunately, and I don't really see that changing anytime soon, which is really sad. But yeah, worst case scenario for me, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the performance, like, we got a goal, and, most people probably wouldn't have even expected that, but, we I'm not even going to say we gave them a game because we gave it okay account of ourselves. We were still better than us.
Yeah, all over the pitch. I think we were probably outplayed. We had a couple of attempts on goal. It wasn't like we were raining shots in on them. They were probably unlucky not to go a couple of goals ahead. We were started the game really slowly. And we conceded two very similar goals in terms of letting the winger get past his man and get a ball into the box. One's going off our defender, one's I don't know how it's gone in off Anthony. I don't know how he's been left alone in such space. And then obviously the third one, I don't think that was a penalty to be fair. And obviously we had a goal disallowed. So for all those things, in the actual match event, it was a bit unfortunate, but I didn't really feel like we ever had control of the game. We were losing the ball constantly. We had a couple of decent attacks, but unlucky at the goal being disallowed. It was a good team goal, one of the better ones from this season. There were a couple of promising signs, but still loads to worry about. And you've got to remember as well, we've conceded 3 goals and had an extra defender on the pitch. So, playing this five back, I think, suits us better against lots of teams in this league, and we're still conceding 3 goals. You really shouldn't be conceding that when you've got nearly half your team of defenders. So, um, I think people wanted us to. I think people want to think it was a really good performance because they don't want to keep sacking managers, and I understand that. But if the manager's not up to it, then he's going to have to go. So Saturday's a
Sometimes you
huge
just
game.
gotta call it as it is, and it was still rubbish in my opinion. Like it wasn't as rubbish, but it was still rubbish.
Yeah, I think if this was like last year and this was like his third game, you'd say, yeah, we gave a decent account of ourselves. They've been down the dumps under Benitez. That's okay, But when you're a year into the job and you're still chopping and changing formations, still chopping and changing players, still feels like he's basically saying, right, we're playing a big team away from home, let's do a fly with the back. Okay, we're playing Brighton, we're playing a much smaller club at home. Let's play a four back. This should be fine. And so both games has resulted in defeat. So I say if you are going with that five back, you can't be conceding 3 goals whenever we do
That's
it.
the
And
thing. I think what we're learning now is that Frank Lampard's tactics are going to concede us goals regardless of what he does, and is that the big sort of advocate for his removal from his position because he's leaking goals no matter what he does at the moment. And I do feel like there's a more, well, I can name off the top of my head immediately. I've got one name in mind that has been bandied around, but Sean Dyche, for instance, would definitely stop the rot a bit more than this. Like, I'm not saying he's going to win every game, but he get a he sort of eke out the results we need, and I think he'd keep us up. If nothing else, I don't think it'd be anything nice to watch, but I think he'd stabilise us a little bit. and God forbid we need some stability.
Yeah, and I think as well, I don't think he played. I mean, like, he typically played a 4-4-2 or maybe a 4-4-1-1 at Burnley, didn't he? So we straight away you've got more attackers on the pitch, and as you say, I think we'd stop leaking goals when Allardyce came in. Whilst I was very much against that appointment, I didn't think it was necessary, but he did stop us shipping goals. So if Lampard can't do that, and it's not as if we're free scoring down the other end, scoring goals have been the biggest problem this season. Never mind anything else. I think the actual scoring of goals, we've won two games under Lampard by more than a goal, which is it's no good for anyone. That is it. Like so, and they were even then were 6-7 months apart. The Leeds and the Palace games, from what I can think of. So it's not as if we're free scoring down the other end like under Martinez. You always thought we could score 3 or 4 goals in a game, but we might concede 3 or 4. That was not ideal either. But under someone like Dyche, I'd have hope that we probably wouldn't concede too many, and we probably would be able to nick a few goals. So that's very much my preference at the minute. But so if you're conceding goals and you're not scoring many, it's no surprise that he's won 9 of 42 games. Like as you say, call it as it is, call a spade a spade. That's nowhere near good enough.
I think the other thing now being is that obviously Lampard probably isn't the right man for the job, and I think we have learned that whether we stick with them or not. But I think a lot of people will forget about him at the moment because I think the priority is to take action against the board and the running of the club above Lampard. And I don't know whether even if the club was in a sound state, whether Lampard would be getting the most out of the team. I don't think he would. But then if the board was running things better, then we would probably have a better squad for him to be doing it wrong with. So, both parties are very much to blame for the current malaise.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think with each manager that's come in, I felt like they've probably been less and less to blame because they've had less money to spend. They've had less overturn of the squad. Obviously, Lampard had more spending than Benitez, for example, but Benitez probably had a better squad because Richarlison, for example. But I think, again, I go back to Dyche. Burnley had loads of issues in terms of ownership and chairmen and owners not putting their hands in their pockets, working miracles of very little, going through summer windows and signing a couple of players at a time. Like he never overhauled a squad with real money. It was always freebies, loans, cheap players. It was always that, and you never really heard of Burnley having so many issues upstairs because he prevented that. And the more I think about him as a manager, the more I point out similarities with David Moyes. And whilst we were, again, far from perfect under David Moyes, we were at the very, very least stable. And the fact that Bill Kenwright wasn't putting his hand in his pocket, the fact that Robert Elson was upstairs, all these issues that we had, they were completely masked by the team, doing fine, coming 6th, 7th, 5th in the Premier League each season, it felt like. So I think that's another thing. I think a good manager is able to mask those problems upstairs. But obviously, I think if say he does come in, keeps us up, I think now Everton fans aren't gonna sit back and let that be fine. I think Everton fans are gonna really push to get this board out now, no matter where the team finished this season, no matter who the manager is, how the players are doing. I think we're gonna go forth and get things changed upstairs now because we
That's got,
can't let this go
got
on.
to be continuous, even if we win games, even if we end up well clear of trouble, which I don't think is going to be the case. But um, even if we do end up staying up and things look a bit rosy in next season or something, but if that board is still here, then there's always the risk that what's happening right now could happen again or worse. So that's got to be done now. I think that's something that I think the vast majority of the fan base have established now, and none of us as Everton supporters really want to continue suffering as much as this. And God forbid we've hardened ourselves up to take enough suffering. We've been through enough, so it's not like we're losing our heads after a couple of defeats or something. We've had constant years of misery now, so
Yeah,
I think the time is right.
it's not like we're chasing our owners out when they spend 100 million every summer like the other lot do over the park. Like it's not like we're demanding a lot. I think we just want Everton to be back where they should be, and if not where they should be, want to see them on the path to that at the very very least. Because I think we'd all be fine with seeing an Everton team that's progressively getting better. It's not going to happen overnight. That very rarely happens in football, but we're just not on that path at the minute. So I just say I think no matter where we finish the season, bottom 19th, 18th, 12th, wherever it is, it's not going to matter. We're going to have to do what we can in the summer, get this board out, get things sorted, because, as you say, no matter how good it ends up this season, if we go into a summer, sell a couple of our best players, replace them with garbage, the cycle just will continue no matter who the manager is. So I think, as you say, no matter what happens on Saturday, next week, next month, end of the season, we've got to get this sorted now, I think. And
It's
to
a
be fair,
long
I feel like the
term
fans feel
issue.
that.
It's not about seasons or relegations, titles, anything like that. It's a longer term issue. It's about the whole health of the club, and
Yeah,
we've got to
precisely.
protect that.
Well, it's not, again. Yeah, the club hasn't gone like this overnight. Depending on who you speak to, this has been a general decline behind the scenes for the last 30 years. It's not just been since Mashiri's been here. It's been not since Peter Johnson or Gil Kenwright. It's been everyone the whole time. It's just been on a steady decline. And again, the way you can't just turn a tanker around like Everton overnight, you also can't sink them overnight. Well, this has been a disease in the club for a number of years, and I say each person will have a different opinion of when things started to go sour. But I think it's been accelerated massively by Farhad Moshiri and Bill Kenwright, among everyone else in that boardroom at the minute. No one's fit for purpose, so it's super unfortunate, and I think everyone's sick and tired of talking about it. At the end of the day, we want to be talking about an Everton team that's playing well, winning games. We're not going to win every game. We know that we're not deluded. We want an Everton team that tries, and we think that a team tries, gives their all, and is better than the other team, and they should get good results, and they should be getting up that table. So but that's what frustrates us the most, I think.
Absolutely. And on the note of going back to the football, one thing I will complain about is the referee, and you touched on it before, but the refereeing was, I think, across the board. But like you saw, like dare I say, a few of the decisions in the neighbours game. Yeah, just and when you see what went against us, I think it was an offside, but like it's one of those those kind of decisions, as you saw, if it was a Liverpool or a Manchester United, it gets given,
Yeah, I mean, I know
and that's
it's
the issue, the
irrelevant to.
hypocrisy, isn't it? It's all
Well,
double
I think
standards.
I think the whole thing falls down because I know it's relevant to our two games, but the fact that some games have got VAR and some haven't in the same competition is just farcical. I think Newcastle got knocked out by an offside goal, and it just doesn't make any sense. And when you see what happened with Liverpool, and it's like this camber angle nonsense, interpretation of the law. That game should have ended 3-1. It's ended 2-2. It's affecting games massively. And as I say, I think our goal probably was offside. It is marginal, and it's the offsides that fans hate. But the one that really annoyed me was the penalty. I mean, it's just not a penalty. At first I thought it looked like it, but then you see a replay and you think, well, I can understand why the referee's given that on his view. But then when you watch a replay, it just isn't a penalty, and it's been given. There was some bizarre refereeing up and down the game, as you say, and the standards just on the floor. It was particularly bad last season. I was watching a video back on some of the calls against us last season. It's just unbelievable some of the stuff they got away with, and the fact that we still stayed up despite literally being against the officials most games. So, yeah, it was very poor on Friday, but it's part of the course now, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, we just got to move on, I guess, and go to, the next game doesn't get much bigger than the Southampton game, and to actually come out, say that there is going to be a butt screening for that one. So, everyone get your flags and your banners. Let's get down there and crack on, because I do think we need to really make about an absolute bear pit of it. It's We're gonna have to intimidate their players, their fans, really lift our players as well. So we're gonna have to like do everything we can to try and get the result, because this is gonna be one of those games. I feared when we lost that last minute goal to Wolves that that could send us down come the end of the season, and we can't afford to be dropping points to these, because these are another relegation rival. At Goodison Park, we should not be losing this game.
No, and then these are really bad as well. Like I think at least with Wolves, they've got some good players and they've just appointed a good manager. These have got a really poor squad, a really young squad, and a manager who, outside of Luton, has been a disaster at Brighton and at Stoke. So it's just so frustrating though, because you go into this game and you say you want to be a bear pit, and I'm sure I'll be a bear for the coach green, and I'm going to be roaring on the team, and I'll be desperate for us to get all 3 points. But then again, you just go into games thinking for the long term success of Everton, we were to get beat here, get rid of him, get another manager in, is that going to be better for us? And it's just a horrible feeling that you're in, because you don't want the team to lose, obviously, but you also
I
sit
think
there
for the
thinking,
long
well,
term of Everton Football Club, it may come to the point where we have to sack him later down the line. But for right now, for the purpose of Everton Football Club and the future, staying up is a priority. And the best chance we can give ourselves of staying up is beating Southampton as a relegation 6 pointer. We have to win that game, whether Lampard goes in a month's time or whether he stays, whatever happens, we've got to win this game. Full stop. But even
yeah,
if it isn't, even if it means we have to suffer as football a bit longer, win this game and then worry about what happens after that.
yeah. I mean, I think in terms of his actual football, I mean, I really don't care how he plays football. I mean, I thought we played some decent stuff on Friday, here and there. Every sort of 10 minutes, we do a nice little move or something you think they've worked on, and that's good to see. But you just never think he's gonna. He and the team as a whole, because the players can't be getting off scot free, but you just never think they're gonna build on it and improve on it and do it for longer than, as I say, here and there every 10, 20, 15 minutes. That's what's really frustrating me. And as I say, I don't really care how he actually plays football, so long as it's winning football. That's what Everton fans need right now. So if you get a win on Saturday, it'll be massive, as you say. It'll really hurt them. And I think if they stick with Nathan Jones, I think they're probably going to go anyway. But we've got to build on it if we do beat them. And that's where I do worry, because I'm not convinced he will be able to. But obviously, say we'll be there on Saturday and doing all we can from the sideline to try and get a win.
We'll leave it at that on the match review. We'll go on to, we've got a few more shows coming up anyway, so be sure to tune in, give the channel a subscribe, and give this video a like and comment. Until next time, guys, thanks for watching on the Toffee Blues.